The streets of the Citadel carried an unusual stillness that day. Word had quietly spread that the Lord President, Lord Chronotis, and Lady Chronotis were away from Gallifrey, taking a well-earned off-world vacation together. Their absence left the High Council without its usual guiding voice, and those who gathered could feel it. Lord Serpentine arrived first, joined by Lord Canis and Lord Conundrum. Their conversation wandered through history with ease only Time Lords possessed. From medieval plagues to forgotten centuries, punctuated with dry wit and gentle teasing. Even in moments of calm, there was an undercurrent of anticipation. Something was expected, though none yet knew exactly what form it would take. Questions inevitably turned toward leadership. Lord Serpentine wondered where the Lord President had gone, and what had become of the Castellan. Lord Conundrum explained only that Lord Chronotis and Lady Chronotis were unavailable, occupied with important matters beyond Gallifrey. None present realised how fortunate their timing would prove to be, for the burden of what was about to unfold would have weighed heavily upon even the strongest of leaders. The arrival of Lord Darkfyre ended the waiting. The director of the Celestial Intervention Agency appeared weathered by storms both literal and figurative, remarking that the interference beyond Gallifrey had made travel chaotic. Rather than convene within the familiar comfort of the council chamber, he directed everyone elsewhere, his cryptic demeanour hinting that this briefing would be unlike any before it. Lord Conundrum questioned the unusual secrecy, while Lord Darkfyre offered only quiet reassurance that there was good reason for it. As the group descended by lift and emerged beyond the Citadel, they found an unexpected sight waiting beside Lord Darkfyre's TARDIS. Standing nervously before them was a frightened young refugee named Tavian Rell. The contrast between the ancient Time Lords and the trembling outsider could not have been greater. Lord Darkfyre introduced him to Lord Conundrum, Lord Canis, Lord Serpentine, and later to Lord Winters as he arrived. The refugee bowed politely, though fear was written across every movement. Lord Serpentine quietly admitted that he wished the Lord President had been present for such an encounter, while Lord Conundrum questioned why an off-world citizen had been brought so close to Gallifrey at all. Lord Darkfyre answered with a revelation that silenced the gathering. Tavian was not merely a traveller. He was a survivor from Khepri III, a world already known through fragmented intelligence reports. Whatever had happened there was grave enough for the CIA director to return personally with its sole refugee. With storms gathering overhead and dust swirling across the plain, Lord Conundrum suggested discussion continue somewhere cleaner and safer. The group escorted Tavian into the CIA tower, where at last the frightened man was offered a chair, a moment to breathe, and the attention of Gallifrey's finest minds. At first, Tavian spoke hesitantly. He described Khepri III as a peaceful industrial world whose people exported metals and resources across the stars. Then his voice faltered as he recalled strange radio broadcasts that had begun only weeks before. Mysterious signals filled the airwaves, impossible voices. Whispering across the void, a single sentence emerged again. 4, 5, 6. As Tavian continued, the room grew heavy with silence. Entire families had vanished without warning. Atmospheric disturbances swept across the world moments before disappearances. The voices seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere all at once. Worst of all, the victims were overwhelmingly children. Parents who resisted sometimes disappeared alongside them. Tavian struggled to continue as tears formed in his eyes, describing a civilization collapsing beneath grief, while invisible monsters communicated only through distorted radio transmissions. Lord Darkfyre rested a reassuring hand upon his shoulder and promised that he was safe within Gallifrey's walls. Lord Conundrum listened intently, his expression shifting from curiosity to genuine sorrow, while Lord Serpentine encouraged Tavian to keep speaking despite the pain. The testimony divided the room. Lord Serpentine declared the kidnappings intolerable and argued that Gallifrey had a duty to act against such evil. Lord Canis responded with caution, reminding everyone that the laws of non-intervention existed for a good reason. Time Lords had reshaped history before, often with disastrous consequences. To interfere openly in the affairs of one civilization would invite endless demands from countless others. Lord Winters challenged the reasoning, arguing that Gallifrey had intervened before whenever it suited its interest, while also warning against repeating the catastrophic mistakes that had scarred their history. Lord Conundrum found himself caught between compassion and responsibility, admitting that while his heart urged action, the Council could not make such a decision lightly, especially without Lord Chronotis present to guide them. Lord Darkfyre remained steadfast. He reminded everyone that Tavian was not merely a political problem but a grieving refugee whose world was being destroyed. His agents would continue monitoring Khepri III while the evidence was gathered and presented to the High Council upon the Lord President's return. Gallifrey, he insisted, possessed two hearts for a reason. Compassion could not simply be abandoned because the law demanded caution. From that conflict emerged another possibility. Lord Canis proposed seeking assistance through intermediaries rather than direct intervention. Earth's Torchwood organization had faced the 456 before and possessed valuable experience. Lord Conundrum agreed that reaching out to them might provide both information and a path forward that preserved Gallifrey's principles. The investigator added that there were still individuals alive who had survived encounters with the 456 and might prove invaluable if they could be found. Even Lord Winters, despite questioning every proposal, acknowledged that whatever course Gallifrey ultimately chose would require careful deliberation rather than reckless heroics. Before departing, Tavian pleaded one final time. Lord Darkfyre had given his people hope by bringing him to Gallifrey. They believed the Time Lords represented salvation. The room fell silent as the weight of those words settled upon every soul present. Lord Darkfyre promised only what he could honestly give. His agents would continue watching. The Council would hear the full report. Gallifrey would not ignore the suffering. When Tavian left the chamber to begin settling temporarily within the Citadel under Lord Darkfyre's care, the debate continued long into the afternoon. Lord Winters argued that intervention demanded overwhelming justification. Lord Canis stressed the dangers of rewriting history. Lord Conundrum acknowledged that no decision could be made until the Lord President and Lady Chronotis returned from their off-world travels. Lord Darkfyre accepted that conclusion, though not without visible frustration, asking a broken man to wait for politics to decide his fate. As the gathering finally dispersed, no declaration had been made, no fleets assembled, and no rescue mission launched. Yet, something far more significant had occurred. Gallifrey had heard the voice of Khepri III. The suffering of one frightened refugee had crossed the stars and reached the hearts of the Time Lords. The Council now stood at the edge of a decision that would test not only its laws, but the very soul of Gallifrey itself. The story of the 456 had reached Vorlaxion, and the echoes of that meeting would shape every choice yet to come.